Technology, man. It's like that friend who started as a quirky sidekick but is now a jacked-up bodybuilder with anger management issues. Sure, it makes our lives easier, connects us globally, blah blah blah. But here's the kicker. It can also be used to violate our basic human rights. That's right, the stuff that's supposed to be making the world a better place can turn around and bite us in the ass. We're talking about things like our right to privacy, remember that? The right to not have our every move tracked, analyzed, and sold to the highest bidder. Or the right to not be spied on by our own governments, which, let's be honest, sometimes act like that creepy neighbor who always seems to be watching. These violations, my friends, are not cool. They erode the very foundations of a free and just society. They turn us into digital puppets dancing to the tune of algorithms and corporate greed. And the worst part? Most of us don't even realize it's happening. We've become so accustomed to handing over our data, so desensitized to the constant barrage of privacy breaches, that we've become numb to the danger. But it's time to wake up, people. Because if we don't start taking this seriously, we're headed straight for a dystopian future that would make Orwell shit his pants. Remember when you could walk down the street without a million cameras tracking your every move? Yeah, me neither. We live in a world where facial recognition software can identify us in a crowd, where our online activity is monitored and analyzed, and where our smartphones are basically portable tracking devices. And it's not just governments and corporations that are watching. Stalkers, harassers, and other creeps can use technology to track our whereabouts, access our personal information, and generally make our lives a living hell. Think about it. Every time you use a loyalty card, browse the internet, or even just walk past a security camera, you're leaving a digital trail. And that trail can be used against you in ways you never imagined. It's like living in a panopticon, except instead of a central watchtower, we've got algorithms and artificial intelligence watching our every move. Remember that warm, fuzzy feeling you get knowing that the government is looking out for you? No? Me neither. Especially when it comes to surveillance. Governments around the world are increasingly using technology to spy on their own citizens, often in the name of national security. We're talking about things like intercepting phone calls, reading emails, and tracking our movements using GPS data. And it's not just happening in authoritarian regimes. Even in democracies, governments are finding new and creative ways to erode our privacy rights. The problem is, once these surveillance powers are in place, they're incredibly difficult to roll back. And history has shown us time and time again that when governments have too much power, they're likely to abuse it. So, yeah, the government might be watching, and they might not be doing it for the reasons they claim. And that, my friends, is a very scary thought. Section 4. Your data, their playground, the dangers of data misuse. Data. It's the new oil, the lifeblood of the digital age. But just like oil, it can be incredibly dangerous if it falls into the wrong hands. Every time we use a website, download an app, or make an online purchase, we're generating data about ourselves. And that data is incredibly valuable to marketers, advertisers, and yes, even criminals. Think about all the information that's out there about you: your name, address, phone number, credit card details, browsing history, social media activity. The list goes on and on. Now imagine that information falling into the hands of someone who wants to steal your identity, drain your bank account, or worse. And it's not just criminals we need to worry about. Companies are increasingly collecting and selling our data without our knowledge or consent. They use this data to target us with ads, manipulate our emotions, and influence our behavior. It's enough to make you want to ditch your smartphone and move to a remote cabin in the woods. Section 5. Hackers, the digital bandits. Remember that time you forgot to log out of your email at the library and some dude totally creeped on your messages? That's hacking, my friend. Well, a very low-rent version of it. In the digital Wild West, hackers are the outlaw gangs, always looking for a weak spot to exploit and steal your precious data. These digital desperados are getting more sophisticated by the day, using everything from phishing scams to malware to break into our online accounts and wreak havoc. And it's not just individuals who are at risk. Corporations, governments, and even critical infrastructure are all vulnerable to attack. The consequences of these attacks can be devastating, resulting in financial losses, identity theft, and even physical harm. So yeah, next time you get an email from a Nigerian prince promising you millions of dollars, maybe think twice before you click on that link.